Hi all, a very good afternoon to you all and welcome to the webinar, Why Understanding Your Sensitive Data is Crucial to Improving Your Cyber Defense in 2023, which is being presented by our esteemed vendor Secure Envoy along with us. A quick insight in terms of what we have in terms of the agenda. It would be a quick introduction to be undertaken about us, which is Bulwark Technologies, to be undertaken by me. I'm the marketing manager here from the organization. Then I would be handing it over to Tim Shaw, who's our esteemed speaker from Secure Envoy, who would be providing an insight on why are data compliance fines issued. Do you need a data loss prevention DLP tool or simple data the discovery DP tool? How can understanding your data help you improve your cybersecurity posture? And it would be followed by an intense question and answer session. Um, just to introduce ourselves, who we are. We are a cybersecurity specialized VAT for information security solutions. We are here in the market since the last 23 plus years and have now expanded in India and also in the KSA market. We have an intense product portfolio of around 30 plus technology vendors, and we have around 750 plus business partners here in the Middle East, KSA, and also in the India regions too as well. We have been working with Secure Envoy for a while right now. We have partnered with them for the last few years too as well. We are also have some of the best of breed technology vendors whom we are currently working with. We act as an extended arm for our security vendors who represent in the region, promoting and selling their IT security products and solution to a wide network of partners here in the region as such. And last but not the least, we also have a full dedicated sales, marketing, and certified technical team as well, who are there to support all our vendors round the clock as such. With that, I would be handing it over to our esteemed speaker from Secure Envoy, Mr. Tim Shaw, who would be doing the needful to take it over from there. Tim, over to you.
Thanks, Sonali. I'll just share my screen. Great. Okay, well, welcome everyone. Firstly, thank you for joining the session. My name's Tim Shaw. I'm one of the regional managers here at Secure Envoy. I've been with the business nearly 5 years now. Obviously, in that time, we've seen, some exciting changes in the world, but also in security and particularly around compliance and how we look at data protection. I guess the first thing to kind of touch on is who are Secure Envoy, if you've not heard of us before. So we were established back in 2003, so 20 odd years of trading now, and we're headquartered in the UK, just outside London, specialising in identity protection and data protection. We currently trade in over 40 countries globally. So as you would expect, mainland Europe, Africa, Australia, America, UAE, India, and obviously we're able to offer support and local geographical expertise with our partners and distributors like Bulwark, for example. We are channel focused, so we like to work with partners on the ground who can offer local support, but also language and skills expertise. So we're used to working with partners and customers and helping to solve their problems. We are part of the Shearwater Group. They're a portfolio of companies that offer cyber resilience solutions. So we act as the vendor arm, and then we have a sister company that provides things like pen test skills, and another part of the business that provides more consultancy and risk assessment. I guess it's important to understand, you know, who are Secure Envoy? What is our kind of ethos? What are we trying to do, and how can we help? I think the main thing to understand with us is that our vision is to try and make simple solutions, whether that's securing identities, access, devices, data. We want to be able to maximize protection and mitigate the risk as easily and quickly as we can. We do that with our multi-factor authentication combined with our data security solutions. We want to make sure that you know, the world is a complex place. It's changing rapidly, and we really try and streamline our solutions so they can be deployed in data discovery's case in a matter of an hour or so, and your business can start to reap the benefits quickly and get visibility to how big a problem they have in this case regarding data protection. So what are we seeing in the world? As mentioned, compliance is only going to go one way. Globally now, I think there are 100+ companies with their own data protection rules. GDPR, for example, is the most common one in the UK and Europe. And organisations are having to start to demonstrate how they protect, could be intellectual property, data before moving to the cloud. So, you know, companies are holding large amounts of data. What is the essential sensitive data that we need to make sure we identify firstly and then put the correct protection rules around? There's also insider threat, which is something we probably don't kind of exaggerate or stress enough. It's all very well protecting yourselves from the outside, but sometimes, you know, the threat is from within, and we need to understand, you know, which of our users are accessing data. Should they have access to it? How much have they got on their endpoints? Is it just bad practice or a build-up of data being stored over a number of years, or is there something more sinister happening with that user that we need to investigate? One of the areas that we really focus around is end user education. So you may be familiar with phishing attacks, and one way of resolving that is around educating your users to identify you know, emails sent from threatening looking sources, and in general how to be more aware of, you know, what the bad guys are trying to do and check what you're doing. And this product is able to educate users, make them aware that they have got sensitive data in certain areas and how they should therefore react, protect that data, store it somewhere in the correct folder, etc. And it's really visibility. So, you know, when I talk to end users, doesn't really matter what vertical they're in. You know, the first thing we ask them is, you know, have you got a problem? If you don't know whether you've got a problem or not, then how can we give you that visibility to understand, you know, what's really happening in your network, not what you think is happening, what the risks are, and therefore how can you then put in place a data protection process moving forward, particularly focusing around the endpoints, for example. How do we do this? We have a very, very simple and easy to use GUI. our product in this case is not necessarily designed for someone in IT to have to manage that maybe your much kind of more complicated DLP or data loss prevention solutions are designed for. Anyone within your organization could run a scan on our data discovery tool after a simple, 1 hour session, watching some of our training videos. The whole GUI is pretty simple to understand and conduct a scan in whatever topics you want. In some cases, that might be a data protection officer. Again, they're not necessarily IT staff, or anyone in the business that needs to present a posture to the board around, what are our current risks and how are we mitigating against them. Visibility is a word that we'll mention a few times during this presentation. But the idea is that you get a picture across your digital estate, so your endpoints, your servers. There's OCR, or optical character recognition, if people aren't sure what that term is, so we can scan into documents, etc. Of course, we have set templates and search terms, so payment card information, passport numbers, etc. But you're also allowed to do custom searches and patterns. That may be for particular IP information that you want to protect. User education, as mentioned, so we don't just scan and kind of say, look, you've got all this dangerous stuff on these particular endpoints. We have a model where end users or the business owner is notified that data exists on that particular device, and then we have a process of remediation where we're able to assign a task for it to be cleaned up, and then we can track to completion. Even if an end user said, yes, I've moved that document to the correct folder now, we're able to track that process and make sure that particular risk has been mitigated. How often you do your scans and reports is kind of up to the business. I would say typically it's a monthly basis. It may be that scans are done more regularly in the first few months if there's a bigger problem identified. But over a period of time, you're able to see that the business is addressing these concerns and these areas of risk. And over a period of time, each report will hopefully give you a lower score. And this really helps with compliance. So it doesn't matter which one you're trying to adhere to. There are dedicated searches that you can do for specific needs, but it will be a one-stop shop for all your compliance concerns. So as mentioned, I think we're up to over 100 now. And it's not just the compliance side of things, it's data in general is growing. So an end user will have, potentially maybe a couple of devices that the business has provided. There'll be shared desktops as well. And it's trying to get that picture of how do we control something that's only going to get worse as we capture more and more data as a business. And another thing is, what is sensitive data? We break it down into the three kind of areas: personal data, customer information, credit card holder, PCI are some of the most common ones. But there's also IP address, depending on what particular marketplace you're in, healthcare, and so on and so forth. So where can we scan? In this case, Windows, Mac and Linux, servers, endpoints, data repositories, Office 365, Google. You'll see on there Alfresco and Confluence. They may be terms that you're familiar with. If you're not, they form under the Atlassian platform, which is a kind of data sharing board, particularly common in finance organisations, for example. And what typically happens is that it may be the research and development department are using that tool. And you can end up with quite a lot of sensitive information on this shared platform. And our data discovery tool has a unique way of being able to scan that and obviously help a business just tidy up that particular repository. It's also a particular hot topic at the minute because Atlassian are moving away from an on-prem to a cloud model, and so all their customers should be looking to tidy up their on-prem, identify the sensitive data, act upon it, and then migrate successfully to the cloud without having to migrate a load of unstructured data up onto the cloud. So yeah, if you have any customers using Atlassian, or if you're an Atlassian end user yourself, that's certainly an area that would be worth having a look at further. And there's some dedicated pages on how we do the unique things that we can do on the website. User education is something that I touched on earlier. And this is all done without the workload having to be put on the IT team. So a scan will be carried out. A report will be produced. Alerts are then shared with the data owners. They then get a remediation task to, in this case, redact the information, depending on what your policy is. Confirm when that piece of work has been done. There's also an internal confirmation, so we don't just rely on the end user to do it. We double check and make sure that they have done what they said they've done. You would then typically rescan a month later, and hopefully your score levels are down, the number of alerts are down, and so on and so forth, until hopefully you get to a level that is acceptable as a business. So it's really educating your workforce as you go. Everyone's busy, everyone's under pressure to do their jobs, but we need to make sure that information is stored correctly, and in general is maintained and kept tidy. So again, the kind of follow-up is shared amongst the business. If you have particular heavy users that are flagged, obviously they would then go into maybe some form of training session or re-education. But the whole process is managed by your staff so that they become more and more security aware with each month that goes by. So again, this platform is very straightforward. So it's a simple license model of number of endpoints per year, and there's an additional license if you have servers too that you want to scan. That includes a support contract. So all your compliance needs can be met under the one solution. And you can do individual reports depending on what it is you're looking to produce. But it acts as a one-stop shop. There is an endpoint manager, which obviously acts as the main server and where the GUI is held. Again, you'll see some of the main depositories that we can do. Again, pretty straightforward server and agent requirements. One of the questions we always get asked is how kind of draining is the endpoint agent, and the answer is it's minimal. It's a tiny file. Even when a scan is being done, you can prioritize whether it's a high priority or a low priority. And again, once it's the initial scan will be the longest, obviously, because it's the first scan, but it will know that it's been there the next time you scan. So unless a document or a piece of information is amended, the scans thereafter are relatively quick and simple. So no disruption to your users on, on those endpoints, and it can be done without their kind of knowledge or their ability to certainly delete that agent as well. So yeah, behind the scenes, no implication to their day. So the other area, everyone's talking about the kind of the fines and why there's a need to do this. Brand reputation is everything. The world is more and more competitive now. Certainly in the UK, we're feeling the post effects of COVID and high price rate rises in food and general cost of living. People are reviewing all their commodities and expenditure. And as a business, you can't afford to kind of give them a reason to look at your competitors. So again, another reason to kind of keep on top of your data is to make sure that the business is as streamlined as possible. Obviously, you're improving the risk, and your data in general can be used and stored correctly. Data silos is a term that we tend to refer to quite a lot when we're talking to customers and helping them kind of scope for a project. Where is all this data being stored? End users will always find a way around best practice typically. We're all human, we're all time short and expected to do a lot during our day. So, people will save stuff on their desktops and local files, etc. So again, when you speak to your customers, or if you're an existing end user and you want to kind of understand, think about your data silos and where your users might be storing that sensitive information that we need to find. So typical kind of examples of why people would want a data discovery tool. DSAR requests are something that we see in Europe with GDPR. Not so much maybe in your region, but it may be something that gets expanded on later on. That's when an end user can request for whatever information a business has on them. That can be an incredibly difficult job, particularly if you've had if that individual's been a customer of yours for a long time. It can be a costly task as well if you have to assign that to one of the team manually to do. So that's one of the main drivers in Europe. As mentioned, migrating to the cloud, that kind of those types of projects are more and more common now. Could be company mergers as well. So if you're aware of businesses, or if you yourselves are looking to take over a company and you want to know what risk you're inheriting, then a data discovery tool is the most cost-effective way of doing that, rather than maybe a full DLP project. Being able to demonstrate and maintain compliance, and general visibility around data. How good are we as a business, and how can we be able to prove that we are getting better? Because that's what you want to be able to demonstrate. I don't think any business would stand up today and say we're 100% sure that all our data is protected and everyone does what they say they're going to do. That perfect world doesn't exist. So as a business, can we learn, can we educate, can we improve month by month, and try our best to make sure that we aren't leaving the front door wide open for someone. As mentioned, we have a tie-in with Atlassian, so just bear that in mind. And for us, we want to talk to a raft of people. It might be the IT or CISO, or it might be individuals responsible for data protection or risk, and their roles can be pretty broad across a business. So we want to get buy-in from from different individuals within a business, because we feel this solution can help solve a number of headaches at once. So understand and control the data you have in the cloud as well as on-prem. Prepare data ready for cloud migration and digital transformation. Understand where your data is to better adhere to data privacy regulations and be able to respond quickly to subject access requests. Know where your sensitive data is to know how to protect it from both outside and inside threats. And safeguard high-value information such as patent, intellectual property, software code, etc. So when we've done a scan, the type of questions that we're able to answer are: how many hits of sensitive data have been found? How many instances of sensitive data have been resolved? How many instances of sensitive data are outstanding? Trends and patterns around where sensitive data has been found. Is it a particular group of users that are maybe handling information and not storing it properly? Typically a sales guy, not that I'm labeling anyone too much. And what's the mean time to resolution? Are we able to identify data, alert the end user and resolve it in a quick, effective manner? And I think if you ask most organizations, would they see a benefit of answering yes to all these questions, then this really is a solution that will fit any size organization in any vertical. Questions that we want people to ask themselves: do you know where your sensitive data is? Do you really know? Or are you just hoping that your users are doing what you think they should do? How much data have you got, particularly sensitive data within a business? Do you have a data protection officer or someone responsible for data? How long does it take to kind of identify and solve a DSAR? How are you maintaining and making sure that you're PCI compliant, for example? Are you or your customers or anyone in the business using Atlassian solutions? And if you've got a DLP solution, are they really doing what you need to do, or are they being a bit of a drain on resources and certainly a struggle with tight budgets? That's where we see these more simple to use data discovery tool having a real niche and adding value quickly. That's everything from myself at this stage. I don't know if we've had any particular questions, and Sonali.
I think we have some questions here. The first question is from Nawaz, which says, how are these licensed?
So initially it's just number of endpoints, and that can be Windows, Mac or Linux, and then whether you have any servers as well, how many servers you would need to scan. For the endpoints, it's a per year license model, and you're obviously entitled to do as many scans as you want during that term. Support is included, so you'll have a support contract. But again, there's not a huge amount that can go wrong with these products because they are designed to be, very simple and straightforward to use. So you just pick the scan you're looking to do, what it is you want to search for, and the report is created. There's nothing really that can go wrong. So yeah, once you've had an initial kind of demo and run through, you shouldn't need any ongoing PS costs or anything like that.
We have another question from Arjun, who says, do you have an NFR license for the partners?
Yeah, so if you reach out to Bulwark, and Aromal is our product manager, he'll be able to arrange NFR licenses. If anyone wants to trial the product, they can be downloaded from our website, securenvoy.com, free of charge. And if you would like to see a demo of the solution, then obviously more than happy to arrange some sessions with yourselves and Aromal next week. 40 minutes, 45 minutes is normally enough to kind of run through the basic GUI with you. So yeah, more than happy to do any of those things.
The next question comes from Siji, who asks, do you have DLP products?
No, so we focus just on data discovery. So there is an element of remediation that you can do with our product. So on endpoints and file servers, for example, you can quarantine. So we can find the sensitive data, let's say in this case, credit card numbers, and then the systems administrator can manually quarantine any files found, and it can be copied into a working folder. The original file can be removed from its original location with a placeholder saying that it's been moved to a secure location. Obviously, we have the alerts process. So once the sensitive data has been found, an email alert is sent to the endpoint owner. Once alerted, the data owner then must manually remediate the sensitive data and respond to the email confirming that this has been actioned. The manager then is able to rescan and confirm that the remediation has happened. On Atlassian, there's some further more detailed stuff that we can do, and we're also looking to add Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace environments to those processes as well. So it's not necessarily creating data protection rules like a DLP solution. This is much more of a kind of quicker dip your toe in, particularly on organizations that are maybe starting that data protection journey. Do they want to jump feet first into a DLP solution? Do they have the budget? Do they have the resources to manage those tools, which are great in their own right, but they can be quite expensive and quite complicated to manage on a day-to-day basis? The data discovery tool will give you visibility firstly on how big a problem you have as a business across the board. Are all your users storing sensitive data, and is it a real mess you're inheriting, or is it just maybe certain users that need a bit of re-education? But it's the visibility to then say to the business, right, we know we've got a problem, for example. I think we need to expand further into a data loss prevention tool. And again, it kind of depends what vertical you're in as well. If you're, finance, for example, then you're going to have more sensitive data that needs protecting. But maybe some smaller organisations, they don't have the budgets and the bandwidth, but at the same time they know that they need to improve data protection, and this is a great starting point. And with education, you can improve A, quickly, and B, reduce the risk quite quickly as well. So yeah, we focus on the discovery. How big a problem have you got? Let's give a business some visibility. Let's help them address some of the major areas. And then if they have budget, or if they want to move to a DLP solution, then that would probably be phase 2.
We have the next question from Ajay, who says, what are the prerequisites for the installation?
Okay. Very straightforward server. Again, they're not huge files. I can get Aromal to follow up with an email after this session where we'll share the data sheet, a couple of short videos, and the prerequisites. But it's not a huge drain on resources, because obviously we're not storing the data. We're just running a scan and running a report. So it's certainly not a great strain on resources. In the meantime, if any partners want an NFR license, then please just reach out to Bulwark. If any end users would like to trial or would like to see an example of a scan report, then by all means reach out to us. More than happy to do some one-on-one demos and discuss your individual needs and data protection requirements, because every business is different. Don't need to be technical experts. Quite the opposite. Sometimes when you haven't necessarily played with other solutions, there's no need to get confused. So don't worry if you're not familiar with data loss prevention or data protection. If this is start out for your company, then we can walk you through the simple steps to help give you that visibility and understand risk and how big a problem you've got.
I think there's no more questions so far. So would like to take the opportunity to once again emphasize the fact that on completion of the webinar, there would be a feedback evaluation form which you can fill up so that we can help you to address all your requirements and accordingly be in touch with you. In the meanwhile, if you have any queries or any kind of requirements, please feel free to be in touch with our team. We would, send the webinar details in a mail along with the webinar recording. And in case you have any further requirements, you're more than welcome to write back to us, and our team of sales experts would accordingly be in touch with you. So I take this opportunity now to thank our esteemed speaker, Tim, for taking the time out and addressing this insightful webinar. It was a highly insightful presentation, and we look forward to connecting with all our partners to address their requirements accordingly in future.
So much, Sonali. Thank you for arranging. Thanks everyone for joining the session, and yeah, hopefully here to help moving forward. Many thanks.
Thanks a lot, all, and would be in touch soon and look forward to hearing from you all. Thanks a lot, Tim, to us, but thank you. Cheers. Bye.